Oh, lovely.
Stop it, Rocco. My dog is like not letting me start this live stream. Hold on. Hi, welcome back, everybody. This is our first episode of the Peru Sisters in I think about 2 months. Is that right, Gia?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been absent.
Yeah. So we've got a pretty good show planned for you today, and we're grateful that you're all here. I'm having trouble with my computer, so I'm just pulling it closer. And we wanted to talk about the hearing that recently happened, and we actually have gone through and pulled a bunch of comments that we want to talk about. So I'm going to start by pulling those up. And if you have any questions in the live chat, just go ahead and put a couple asterisks next to the question and we'll star it and then we'll get back to it afterwards. So Gia, you had a chance to see some of the hearing. Have you watched the whole thing?
No, I haven't. I started it last night because I knew we were doing this, but I just watched probably just the first maybe hour, I think. Full disclosure. So
I feel like that's the most important part though, because you're seeing the testimony of pain. So
yeah, I saw that. That's pretty much what I saw. And then I saw part of the next witness. I can't remember who that was, but I was trying to figure out the whole time, what is the hearing actually about?
So, I don't have my mouth. I could pull up the actual documents to the hearing. I mean, to summarize it, that Anne was trying to get at several different things, although we're not quite sure what she was alluding to.
Right. That's what I was saying. She wasn't getting to any points. And it was, like I said to you last night. And again, you need to ask the evidence person because they kept redirecting her back to that. And the thing is, I don't understand lawyers' strategies all the time, but they always know the answer to whatever question they're asking. So I didn't understand why she kept going in at all these angles to get him to verify something that's seemingly not that important at this point. So I was just trying to figure out what her angle was.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, so there's been a couple theories on what her angle is. And some people are thinking that possibly she was trying to, on the stand with the lead investigator, get them to admit that the IGG was part or the reason why they ended up finding
right.
In that instance, they would actually be able to possibly get the arrest warrant thrown out.
Yeah. She was definitely trying to get him to say something, and he wasn't taking the bait. That's what I would guess. It was like, what is she trying to get him to say? And I think that's probably correct. She's trying to get, or to admit that he was inept, or that he got to something in a way he shouldn't have. And right, to try to get things thrown out when we actually ever do get to a trial.
Yeah. And then a lot of what you're saying too is it's hard to say exactly what the strategy was, but it would appear that she's trying to get Payne to say on record that he doesn't know what he's repeated to her, which is he doesn't know the exact timestamp. And like you were saying, it does appear something that you would go to the evidence clerk for, but she's just trying to get him to go on record saying he doesn't know where that stamp is. But on the other hand, a lot of people are saying it means they don't know, they don't have the evidence. So it's a catch-22. I mean, I picked about 21 different comments that I saw online and that were direct message to me. So maybe we should just start right out going off of that about what people are saying. Okay, let me present my screen here. I'm so sorry, my hand, but I like I said, my mouse is broken.
Yeah.
All right, share screen. And so this is the first comment I wanted to talk about. So
first of all, you're not a housewife, so
they this. I collected a lot of comments off of the Drunk Turkeys channel because I was featured on the Drunk Turkey show on Friday, and so he had more questions pertaining to the hearing. So I just kind of borrowed some of the comments off of his page because they were certainly more on what was common to me. But I thought this was interesting. And, I thought it was an interesting subject to just talk about. So this comment says, why is this Rose lady on here? A housewife who podcasts for fun. You guys couldn't get a real detective or lawyer on here. So Gia, before I give my reaction, do you have an immediate reaction to this?
I would ignore someone like this in real life because he's speaking from what he doesn't know. What's his point? Could we get a detective or lawyer? Probably, but we didn't. It wasn't our goal. We weren't trying to get a lawyer or a detective on here. We're not claiming to be true crime sleuths trying to crack a case. We're on here talking about things that are of interest to your subscribers. So no, I would just say nothing.
Well, I have a little bit of a deeper take on this because I do think putting aside my emotions about how I feel about somebody saying that, I do want to point out that it's very dangerous to live within an echo chamber. And when you ask for only the opinions of detectives or lawyers, that means you're asking for the opinions of the 40% of Americans who have, versus a housewife's education level, you're asking for the 40% of Americans who have full-blown bachelor's degrees. But the thing is in a jury, you can't count on all of the people in that jury having a degree. And so to ignore what the housewife thinks of the case is stupid, because that's going to be possibly 60% of this jury pool, someone who's not fully college educated. And so I just think that that type of ignorance loses cases. So I thought that was the first comment I wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and guess what? I was a housewife for 15 years and I have multiple degrees. So just because you're a housewife doesn't mean you're not degreed. So, yeah. But to your point, the jury is made up of people in the community. You may be a housewife, you may be an astrophysicist, who knows, but right. Our opinions should not be ignored.
I totally agree. And I think that it was smart of DTS to actually put a variety of opinions. That's called diversity. That's called tolerance.
Sure.
So yep. Anyway, I wanted to address that one because that was the most recent comment on his video. Okay. Now this was part of a DM that was sent to me on Discord, and it says any judge who would put deadlines on the outstanding discovery and toss any missed deadlines evidence out. The defense is a seasoned with federal court experience and phenomenal. I don't know how the state competes with its joke of a case. The families must be starting to question justice by now. I don't see anything close to a competent case with facts, solid physical evidence, or anything that isn't opinion that can't be argued. Bushy eyebrows won't do it.
That's because we haven't gotten to the evidence yet. And I think that a lot of people forget. I mean, really think about it. We all should be assuming BK is innocent because he's innocent until he's proven guilty. And he's not going to be proven guilty if he is or isn't until there's a trial, which is probably not going to be at least for another year. So, at this point, of course, you don't see anything close to a competent case because the case hasn't been presented yet. This is all, preemptive stuff. It's just, and yes, I agree with the first line. Typically a judge, there are deadlines for discovery, and if you miss it, it's too late, right? That's not the case here. They've asked for discovery. They haven't gotten it. That's different than still wanting new discovery after the deadline has passed, right? So I think what's going on with Anne is she's saying, we've asked for all of this stuff. I didn't miss any deadlines. If there's any deadlines being missed, it's the prosecution not providing the discovery to her, which there are no deadlines. They have to do it. And if it's late, then she can ask for sanctions. Whether she'd get them or not, I don't know, because this case is ridiculous. Like even when she was saying at the hearing, and how many hours of video footage would that be? Thousands. And I think she was trying to make the point, well, we're not going to have time to go through all of that. And that's like saying the dog ate my homework, because you might not have the time, but you could hire hundreds of people to go through it and look at it and then present you with anything that was suspicious or maybe interesting to the defense, but anyway, I have no tolerance for her her saying everything's so time consuming. This isn't the only case in the world, and the cases all now do have video footage and all the how many bytes of data, like electronic data. That's just the way of the world now. But you can't keep putting trials out 2 and 3 years because of it. Because I think that's almost a strategy, because then you're getting all the key witnesses. Their memories are not going to be what they were 3 years from now as today, right? So,
and even though, and I completely agree with the point that you're making, I see the same thing. I do think she tactfully made this argument in the hearing, though, because I remember there was something said, and I don't know if you caught this part, because it might not have been in Payne's testimony, I can't recall, but she was basically saying to the judge, okay, so view all of this myself for $200 an hour. And I remember people saying, oh, she just gave herself a cool 200K bonus. And I remember one of the other commenters saying, actually, defense attorneys make like $400 to $600.
No, she makes 200 in this particular case.
Somebody rebutted that afterwards and said, well, she makes 200 an hour. But I mean, it just goes to your point. She even made that. She said, well, I'm going to have to charge more. And I think that it's just one of those points that you drive home for the potential people watching or being influenced. And I just think
that's just a threat. That's a threat to the community. Like, okay, they're forcing you taxpayers to pay my salary, my $200 an hour rate, and I can work as many hours as it takes, and that's just going to cost you. To me, I find that offensive, because as a defense attorney, you're going to do whatever you're going to do to prove your client innocent. That's your job. It doesn't matter that it's going to take you a lot of time to go through the evidence. It's your job. And you can hire, like I said, paralegals to do that at $50 an hour. She doesn't have to do it all herself. But to me, it's a moot point. It's like complaining about how you're getting your job done. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you still have to do your job.
I just am saying, I think that although we know the argument and we know the logistics of that, I think it was a theatrical. It was just one of those things she did in the defense of her client that she could do, and she accomplished. And by saying it, it drives home the point. Who can ignore it? We're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next one here. So this next one reads, I don't understand the logic behind all of the evidence not being handed over. The defense is entitled to that. No, if he ID guilty, they will prove it. But
if he is guilty, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to deter, because I know people type fast. It's not their fault. I do it too. The typos too. No, if he is guilty, they will prove it. But as of now, the prosecution is looking like they scrambled. The jury, they're scrambling. The jury will be the ultimate judge in the verdict. However, it only takes one to decide the evidence isn't there. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if you have a reaction.
Well, yeah, because we don't know that the evidence hasn't been handed over. Okay, the prosecution said they gave it. It's and the defense is like, yeah, but it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, because she wants to be spoon-fed everything, right? And they did what people do with discovery. They're going to send you, we've talked about this before, they're going to send loads and loads and loads of stuff. And it's all in there, but they're not going to tabulate the contents and give it to you neat and pretty with a bow. That's just how they do it. And it's the defense job to comb through that and figure it all out.
Yeah. And, I was going to get to the comments afterwards, but I thought this might go a little bit with what we're saying right now. I start a few comments. And again, you guys, if you have comments or questions you want us to talk about, just put a couple stars next to us. We don't hide from the comments. Like we want to know what you have to say and we want to respond to it. So
someone said something about Payne lied in the affidavit. That's the only, otherwise a lot of these, the chat isn't really about the show.
I put one up though on the screen here that says, no need to wait to something before that Payne comment constant. I don't know what she said he does not know where it is. Basically telling her to go and look for it by the Moscow police. I guess that wasn't. Oh yeah. Here was this one you were talking about? Prosecution. They didn't meet deadlines. Was it a start comment?
No, but let me see. It was just someone said Payne lied on the affidavit.
Let me go to this. Basically, Sai said his CAS report shows me whilst has been used, which means they have.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Look at this. I don't know who Nietzsche H is. Love you, Swamp Rose, but I'm going off this one comment before watching her expert statement with all the Flo's missing evidence. But you seem to have him guilty till proven innocent. So what? No. Why? I don't understand that. We just said innocent until proven guilty. But, we're talking about what's going on. We don't have an opinion either way, and we're not going to have one until we start to watch the trial and we see evidence firsthand.
Right. And the other thing too is you might well feel that you've made up your mind about Bryan's innocence or his guilt, but the thing is that there is going to be more evidence. And in either way, we have a responsibility to try and be objective. And also, if you do believe he's innocent, some people will tend to put their head in the sand about some of the evidence that might be coming. So we just want to express everything that we see so that there's no surprises. I mean, we're telling you everything we can find on both sides.
Yeah.
And if you want to negate us or show us something different, we'll show it too. We're totally open to conversation. So anyway, I don't know what to say other than
I just say, if I had to, someone put a gun to my head right now, I'd say he's innocent because he's innocent until he's proven guilty. That's the way our country works. So everybody should be saying that. Everyone should. And if you do have an opinion of guilt or innocence, then that's ignorant because the facts have not been shown to us. So how can you make a decision on something when you don't have any evidence before you?
Oh, 100%. We didn't have this system where it is innocent until proven guilty, then all of us would be locked up on whisper campaigns by our leaders. So we have to provide the system of innocent until proven guilty. And part of it is looking at all the evidence.
Right. And yes, Heather, it is up to Anne to find the evidence in the Moscow Police Department. Well, storage locker. I thought you were going to say, no. But if they've handed it over and now the storage locker is under her control and they've given her access to it, then yes, that's everything she asked for.
But view the footage all theirself. As long as she has the footage, I don't know how they.
Well, I missed something about the storage locker because I don't. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. So when Payne was asked, evidence, they were told it could be found in the evidence custodian's possession. So he was directed back. We're losing stream here. I hope we're not cutting in and out with you guys. Heard something else, type it in. I'm just going to move to the next comment.
Nana has a comment in the question for Gia. PCA is sealed. We have Exhibit A. Could the sealed PCA have more info than Exhibit A? Yes. And it does. I can't wait for all this stuff to be unsealed. Do you want me to read this comment you have up here, Kiki? Kiki, can you hear me? You're welcome, Nana. Can you guys hear me? Can you comment? Because I don't think Kiki can hear me. Can someone comment if you can hear me? Thank you. Thank you, True Crime Cult. I think I was going crazy. Okay. She just went out and she's probably going to come back in. Yeah, I didn't know. You're back. Say something.
Something.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, hold on. Let me get this up. I did tell Heather I kind of was thinking Heather might want to come on panel because she has some really great.
So she's saying, he said, so I need to go ask the Moscow Police Department for all the videos so that I can watch them all. Yes, ma'am. Well, yeah, I mean, I assume she asked them for the videos. And this Brett Payne, he's not the be all and end all. He doesn't know what was sent to her through discovery. But if she asked for the videos and they sent them to her, then yeah, she wants to know what's on them. She has to watch them. I don't understand the.
Well, I just put a link for Heather in here. Certainly, Heather, we love you to pieces. And if you want to come up and say anything, if we're missing a piece of what you're trying to tell us, I'm sorry, it's not coming through in the text. I apologize. And you're welcome to come up and share your opinion. We know that everybody wants to hear all sides of this. So
yeah, it's the evidence custodian. And I think what he's saying is, in theory, in any case, if you want what she was asking for, you don't go to the lead detective. He's saying you go to the evidence custodian. It's a different job and a different department. So that's all. I think that's all his point was. Like, you wouldn't ask me. And she was trying to say, like, well, wouldn't you ask you because you're the lead detective? And doesn't everything that gets asked in the case eventually come back to you? And he was like, no, because it doesn't.
And then they said, ask for the timestamp plus missing footage. Now this is a very tricky one, and I would love to know your opinions on this with what I'm about to say, because this is my interpretation and I want to know yours. So when it comes to the missing footage, my understanding is that the missing footage haven't been able to identify it. So I'm equating the word missing with not identified yet.
Yes, thank you. That's what
I don't know.
Well, the prosecution's saying, I think, because they've said, we've given you everything. We've given you everything. So now it is her job to find it in what they gave her. I agree it wouldn't be her job to go to the police department and look through their file, But I think the prosecution's point is, we've given you all of this. And the lead detective isn't going to know what the timestamp on it was. So if she wants that more specific information, I think his point was, then you need to go to the evidence custodian. Yes, Heather. Heather's saying, if it's a piece of evidence that's being used to convict, the state is required to provide it. And they're saying they have, right? It's not the law that she track it down a defense attorney. The law is state it over. Okay. Here's the bottom line. And this is how discovery works. I ask, they provide. Then it's my job to look through it and find what I want. And then if I look through everything and it's not there, then I say, you missed this. Now please provide me with this. Right? And then they have an opportunity to do that. And I think what the prosecution is saying, we've turned everything over to you. So it'd be her job to prove that they didn't.
And then, I got another one for you, Gia. Before we go with this, I just want to say with the glove, I don't necessarily know if the glove has been debunked, because I have heard different theories on when it collected, the snow coverage on it or the lack of snow coverage on it. So that's what people, I think, are gauging the debunked glove as. But one thing I will say that I think we've kind of surmised from this hearing, at least, is they were going into the unknown DNA quite a bit less. And it's leading a lot of people that I've spoken to from the law enforcement sort of side to think that maybe they have identified those unknown DNAs and they've maybe cleared them. But at this point, since there was DNA in that glove, we would imagine they've probably got a profile on it. We know they were run through CODIS, so we know at least a partial workup was done. But I would think that they probably at this point know, because obviously the prosecution could bring out that unknown DNA in trial and create an incredible amount of reasonable doubt. Of course, I'm just guessing, but I just wanted to say my opinion on the debunked glove real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And, all right. So then the question for Nina, another question for Gia. Over 80 search warrants were sent out. The return results are redacted and sealed. We do not know if what was found in the car, apartment, parents' house, correct?
Well, and this, from what I know, and again, I don't know everything that's been done and said in this case, but they have said that there was no DNA found in his car. whether, but as you say, it's sealed, so we don't really know. We don't really know. We won't know that probably. Now, remember, it's not like we're going to get to the case and everything gets unsealed. Some of this stuff is going to be unsealed before we get to the trial. Once there's a reason, there's no reason to keep it sealed, then they'll start unsealing some of the stuff. And I don't know what, but probably this we're not going to know until the trial. But have you heard that, Kiki? Like, they didn't find anything in his car. Are you frozen again? Okay. Anyone in the comments? Nina, they spoke on what was found in the car last June in a hearing in the documents. Right, Heather, and what was it? They said nothing, right? Was that where I heard that? Anna's saying they didn't, and she's trying to get the information. So you may think she's asking the wrong people for that information. With respect, she has asked repeatedly. That was her point. Yes, she has asked a lot. And, to be fair to Anne, the prosecution probably is, quote unquote, playing games with the evidence and providing it in such a way that it's very difficult for her to find. They're not here to make her case easy. Question for Gia. When Sir Ray said that they built a cash report without the cell phone data, but yet they arrested Bryan, is Nando suspicious? Okay. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay.
When Sir Ray. Can
Cyrus.
you interpret?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Let me look.
Here.
Question for Gia. When Cy Ray said that they built a cash report, cast is what he meant, the cast report without the cell phone data. This is a great question. I actually have this in the list. But yet they arrested Bryan as suspicious. I think
Nando suspicious
is very suspicious. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I am definitely beside myself that the cell phone data doesn't include the metadata. I don't know how you can know that without a forensic download. But again, I'm not an expert. Cy Ray is, so.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't really know how they ultimately did get to Bryan. And I think that's what Anne's point is with all of her questions and the IgG data and all of that. Like that, yeah. I think she's trying to show that they arrested him on a technicality and get his arrest thrown out. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to present screen and pull up another question. All right.
Yeah, I was asking when you were frozen, because I was asking you, don't you remember hearing that they didn't find any DNA evidence in Bryan's car? And Heather's saying, yes, last June that came out in one of the hearings and the documents.
So I'm going to read this other comment. It says, if attempts to cross-examine, it would at least be in record. The appeals would go on record statements, and imagine what that transcript would look like. I don't know. Maybe just me, how it goes. Using a maternity leave excuse, 68 weeks delay is acceptable. And I didn't realize that that was one of the reasons for the delay, that the FBI agent was.
I didn't either. But the thing is, okay, you're frozen again. The thing is with the delays, this is not something germane to Bryan Kohberger. This happens in every single case. They're delay tactics that are a strategy.
All right, let me get the next one up here. So the next one says from Mikey S. Can't produce cast report, worksheets, any recorded data. And this was, I think, the biggest controversy at the beginning of all of this, because when we first saw Cyray come up, they were talking about, or I'm sorry, let me correct that. When we first heard Payne's testimony, and AT kept asking him, do you have the the workup to the presentation that you presented to the grand jury, or to the jury and the grand jury? And he goes, no, I just had the finished report. And she goes, well then, and she basically had to get him to say that he deleted it. And he basically said his answer was, well, I don't delete or anything. I just open the program and keep working. I never log off, is I guess how he explained it. Now, I don't know. I don't know what that NCAS report looks like. If you can't determine all the information, I don't know what that looks like. I wonder what it does look like. Maybe somebody knows. I don't know if you need that worksheet in order to tell what's on that final report that they presented to the grand jury. But if what you're saying is true, if you need that if it's like the key to the map and you need it to know what's in that piece of information, yeah, I would agree with you. But I don't know what that final report looks like and what information's on the final report. And I don't know if anyone else.
In the comments, Heather's saying, and I believe she's speaking to this.
Okay.
He said, I'm going to talk about cell phone tower first. Once I have that map completed, I'm going to compare it to the, I guess she means metadata information, sort of overlay it on the other map to make sure it's right.
Wait, where's the rest of the comment? Especially built.
It's at 1144. What are you looking for? Kiki. Oh, she's having so many technical problems today. So sorry about that. I thought she was looking for something. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Heather's saying, but Ashley Jennings just said on Thursday that they're still working on making sure that cast final report is accurate 18 months later. It really seems to be that they're taking their time on everything with this case, more so than average, I would say. Looking for in between before he talks about the evidence, right as he's ending his experiences when he says this. Okay. Okay. Hopefully Kiki's going to go out and come back. All right.
OMG.
Oh, gosh.
I know.
I said you're just having so many technical issues today.
Yeah, this is me. It's not you guys. Sorry about that.
All right. Yeah, can you imagine if the trial was now? They definitely wouldn't be ready. I know, true crime cult. She froze again. She's back. I think.
I am. And I'm just, okay, good. Now I've got the comments back up. All right, present. And there we go.
Did you have another comment you wanted to bring up from the show?
Yeah. But I'm having, it's still, my comments are frozen. I can't seem to pull them.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was having trouble with my mouse earlier. Oh, I want to bring up, okay, so the videos could be exculpatory use them. Whoa. Let me get back to Miss M. Cruz. Okay, here we go. The videos could be exculpatory to Bryan. So the DA doesn't want to use it, so they
didn't tell Anne. Games and more games. Give it all to the defense already.
Thank you.
Again, he's saying he did. So it's just he said, she said at this point. We gave you everything. No, you didn't. We gave you everything. No, you didn't. So now she has to go, you didn't give us A, B, and C. And, and then they should have to provide what she's asking for. Just that piece, right? He can't say, no, it's already there. Go look for it.
Looking for in between before he talks about.
I don't know what that really means.
I think Heather's telling us where to find this statement. Stinks that we're not able to flow well right now.
I know. And I'm not
help. I'm going to wait for this to process, and I'm just going to work with the shared screen. Oh, this is the one I wanted to pull up. Everything brought up is reasonable. 6 months of calls to do the cast report, only 4 handed over. Sy explained in detail why he needs the
paper trail.
Oh, paper trail. Sorry. So 6 months of calls, do the cast report, only 4 detail of they only got 4 months of 6 months that were requested. And I'd be very, very interested in hearing that. That sounds like something I'd like to explore more.
Yeah.
If you happen to know, because the timestamp, or give me some sort of indicator in the trial, because I've watched it a lot now, and I did miss that part. So I would love to explore that more.
Yeah. And Heather's saying, and I agree with her on this.
Is it the next one?
Yeah, it might be good to go over the discovery request and the motions to compel in full, like a series, maybe to see what exactly Anne has asked for and what she's still asking for. Yeah, that's a good show.
It is. It's a great show. We could do some great visuals with that too. Mm-hmm. Carla agrees with Nietzsche, but shouldn't the report have been completed before the grand jury was convened because they used it for the cast? Payne said that they had finished it when they put it in. They just didn't have his workup or what shows that he got to his conclusion. They just showed the conclusion.
And people need to remember this. We don't know everything the grand jury had, and we don't know what they used to decide to indict. So, but in their opinion, they had enough to indict him. Even maybe without the cast report, who knows? We're not privy to that information, but they decided they had enough to indict, and who are we to say they didn't? And it's a different level of proof at the grand jury.
So Heather's saying it too, only got 4 out of the 6 months. And I find this interesting because why did no one? Yeah, I would love to know like where I can get that, because I'd like to go back and listen to the segment in its entirety when they say that, because I was just on DTS and I would think that's a really legitimate argument people would have brought up. I'm like shocked that nobody has said it until this chat. So
6 months of what? Cell phone records? I don't know what you're talking about.
But we want to know. So please.
Cell phone records? I'm like 4 out of 6 what? Calls, casts, what? I don't know what you're talking about because I'm out of the loop.
I really hope you both do this chat again after watching the full hearing. I did watch the full hearing.
I didn't. And I admitted that up front.
And I really just needed her legal perspective. I mean, for one thing, I like the comment says, I am a podcaster. And so for me to sit and watch a hearing and dissect it and try to come up all the information, like I know I don't remember that reference to the 4 to 6 months. That's why it's bothering me. But Gia, she has 2 full-time jobs. So she just comes in for a little legal expertise. And, it's a lot. Not everybody has time to watch all the trials.
Yeah, I really didn't have time.
Man. You
But
cannot.
I'm trying to figure out, what are they asking? Handed over for what? The cell phone records?
Hold on. Oh, here she goes. Map. Hold on. Oh, I just
No,
had
why
it.
didn't I answer my...
Here it is. Map. Not. Oh, sorry, Heather. Let me see. Okay, here we go. June. Now, I do remember these dates being cited. So June 23rd through December 23rd. So that must have been the cell phone records that they requested, and they only got 4 months of that. Am I
Thank
understanding that right? Okay. That would make sense, through December 23rd. And they've only received 4 months of records, and they need 6. And you know what? I don't remember what the rebuttal to that was. I do remember now Anne saying that. Yeah, I have no answer. I would like to go back on that. And I don't know, are all discovery deadlines, do they still have time to hold on to that? Or have they been required to return that over? How does that work, Gia?
Yeah, well, the discovery deadline is like, okay, let's just hypothetically, right? All evidence, all discovery needs to be propounded, right? It means asked for by a certain date. Then if they don't do it by that date, then you compel them. So it's just a back and forth. But there's never... discovery can be provided right up until the trial, right? Like if it's new, if they come across, they're supposed to. Let's say Anne asked for something and it's not something they had at the time. If they get it after that point, they have to still give it to her. They can't hold on to it and say, well, but I didn't have it when you asked. So they're required to provide anything she asked for by the date she asked for everything. She's not trying to ask for anything new, right? Because she can't. The deadline's passed. But anything she's asked for, she has a right to have. And so I guess that's Heather's point, is that would be a great show, is to go through all of the requests for discovery and then all of the motions to compel, because the motion to compel is going to be what shows us what she thinks she didn't receive.
I'm writing it down. So, I mean, the two things that we have is going to be that we're going to go back over after this podcast. And the other one we're going to go back is we're going to really explore this comment about Anne only receiving 4 to 6 months and make sure that we understand exactly what that is. Because if it's not on the up and up and she was supposed to be provided that, I think that's, I mean, obviously something I want to report on my channel. And then, welcome, by the way, Miss Anonymous 617. Grand jury members have come out and said that there were gaps they had to fill in. AT motion to dismiss indictment lays out 24 violations of BK civil rights during the process. Grand jury members are on record other than the leaked text messages, or are we just referencing the leaked text messages? That's
I don't know, because they're not supposed to say anything. So if people are hearing they've said things, like Steve Gonzalez said.
Yeah, I would. I'd be interested if you're just referencing the leaked text messages, because that's one debate in itself. But if you've heard that reported somewhere else, like from an anonymous source, please let us know in the chat. And then 24 violations of BK civil rights. I'm going to write that down because I want to read the 24 violations of BK civil rights. All right. What? You're not a real detective or a lawyer? I know, Tinsel. I know you thought I was a real detective. All right. The warrant for cell phones. Oh, Heather's just clarifying. The warrant for cell phones, 23rd December. And then Christy said.
She's saying, yeah, that's the 6-month period, right? June through December of 2023. Was that it? 2023.
Hold on. Let me write down. Yeah, must be 2022, right?
Yeah, I would think. Well, no, because it happened November of 22. So that's probably right. Oh yeah, maybe they want them. They would want them before. Yeah, I bet it's 22.
Okay. If you don't input all the data, the map is incorrect. Ann Taylor is on her 17th compelling for discovery. What do you think of that, Gia?
I mean, that's unfortunate. But I appreciate her, tenacity and going after them, because what and here's the thing, you can compel, but you have to ask the court for sanctions, right? And in the private world, it works a little easier, because there's what kind of sanctions is she going to ask for the prosecution? Because he's just saying, I did give it to her, I believe. I'd love to look at the responses. I haven't looked at that, but again, Heather's point, like, let's go through that on another show, and we can see, because when she compels, then the state has to, well, they don't have to, but they typically would respond to her motion.
Good morning, Noni. Hold on a second. All right, so get through some of these comments, and then Jay Logan. I was gonna say, oh wait, hold on. 6 of the jurors wanted more information. So here's what Jay Logan spoke the words audibly, and hearing that 6 of the jurors
in a hearing. So you did leave one letter out and it changes the whole meaning. So Jay Logan spoke the words audibly in a hearing that 6 of the jurors wanted more information. I don't know why that matters, because they did the indictment came down. So,
but yet 6 were used to refinish the cast report. There's so many comments, my gosh. Okay, so she says she asked to sanction them with the death penalty being taken off the table.
Yeah, that's not gonna. You can't. That's so stupid. You can't do that on a technicality.
Yeah, and she's talking about AP, not you, Heather, by the way.
Oh yeah, no. I'm talking about Ann Taylor. Like, okay, what I would say is, nice try. There's no way that's going to be granted. There's no way. You couldn't do that to the victims' families. I mean,
the drive test used to do the cast report, no data from around the house, and surprised it can't be redone because the house is gone. That drive test really confused me when the way that they described it and how they used the evidence, and they talked about the roommates' other cell phones. Lucky the chat isn't.
No, I'm saying Heather, Lori Vallow, you know who she is, right? The Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow. I would say death penalty was taken off the table. Now, yes, the prosecution and the defense can plea bargain for that, right? And you're saying there's no way that happened because the state didn't comply with deadlines. Correct. Yeah, there's no way that they're going to take the death penalty off as a sanction for not providing discovery. No way.
What do you think the odds are of getting the
trial? Okay. Oh, she says it was a sanction in the Lori Day. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to look into that.
I never felt, I mean, I've watched the headlines because it's just such a tragic case, but it's just one of those cases I haven't followed either.
Oh yeah. They killed her kids. They thought they were zombies, and she's very mentally ill. I don't know about him. But I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look into that, because like right now, I don't know. I'd have to look into what they were withholding, right? Yeah, the judge decides the sanctions.
Yeah, I know. And we have a good list here going of different things we're going to look up. Gia's going to be coming back later this week. So, I mean, of all the different things, like if you see other things you want us to look up too, let us know. And then I
believe that. I believe Heather. She's smart. But I mean, so that's why I want to look into that, because I just can't imagine in this case, they're going to take the death penalty off the table because she didn't get a video or whatever. she's looking for, right? So I would be interested to see what the prosecution failed to do in the Lori Vallow case. But that's a different.
I'm telling Heather to come on stage. Heather, come up and talk to us. Oh, just so you know, for the record, I did want Heather up here today, folks at home, because obviously
she's probably someone who's followed this case more than anyone I know, right, in detail.
And I want to bring this one up because I think that a lot of people are now, even like people who side more as like what we would refer to as guilters, believe now that the trial should be moved. A lot of people are beginning to say that it's probably time to really consider that. So I wanted to bring that up because I've heard that said quite a bit. Okay, so this is interesting. So Tinsel says, I'm going to read two comments in a row. Who decides the sanction, the judge or the case?
No, who decides the sanctions, the judge in the case?
And then the next one says, what if the judge does the misconduct himself?
What if the judge misconducts himself? What do you mean by that, Mr. Sentinel? Like what kind of misconduct? Do you mean recuses himself?
And then, with no evidence put forward to defend against, all they can do is try and get dismissal and technicality.
What, the indictment?
All right.
Try to get the indictment dismissed? I don't know. What are the rates of the death?
Who's Chev? Chev Heather.
Huh?
Here we go. Misconduct or failing to perform a duty in which the law requires.
Okay. I don't think he's been accused of that.
What are the rates of death penalty being given for being found
after being found guilty at trial in Idaho? I don't know.
I actually looked into the death penalty cases. I think there's only been like, it was a long time ago when I did my death penalty video, but I believe it was something small, like about 8, and they had only executed a smaller number. So the point is it takes a really long period of time. Wait, that came after.
Mm-hmm.
It's a smaller rate, but I don't want to speak on it. You know what? Let me write.
Heather just said Chad got the death penalty this weekend. And then how long does it take before they're actually put to death? That's another question, right? Because what's the average?
The time and percentage. I mean, those are stats we can get.
True Crime Cult said, I'm driving. If I wasn't, I would come up. And then Heather says, it's a good point, and I agree with her. Judicial misconduct is very rarely something that ever happens. And even if it does, there's no one to sanction a judge, really. It's like, who do you go to, right? You'd have to go to a higher, like the trial court and then the appellate court and ask for that. But you're not going to, another judge isn't easily going to say that another judge didn't do their job properly.
All right, I'm going to get some more of these comments. Okay, so this was an interesting comment I want to show you guys because I actually have a map to go with this one. So it says, whoops.
Exactly. Yeah, Heather. Sorry.
Oh, wait.
She's just saying exactly. That's why it really never happens. Even if they do something that would be considered judicial misconduct, it's very rare that anything's going to come up at. Yeah. You never see that. Like, when a lawyer there's misconduct, there's a whole like attorney grievance commission, and there isn't something like that for judges necessarily. The bar is not going to probably do anything.
Check the private chat.
Oh.
Let me just, okay, so I'm going to, all right. And Juniper Bob, bad move to suggest that the death penalty be dropped. If the defense is so confident about their case, this would not have been brought up.
Bad move to suggest that the death penalty be dropped if the defense is so. I don't know. I kind of agree with that a little. I the same like thought came to me too. Is like, if, I don't know, but of course she would like that removed, right? Because even if she thinks he's innocent, she knows, she understands that if he's going to go to trial, there's a possibility that he would be found not innocent, and therefore, if you take the death penalty off the table, that allows more ample time for appeals and that sort of thing. Yeah. True crime cult. 9 times out of 10, a person is not put to death for at least 15 to 20 years because they've got to go through. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good statistic to bring up. You know what? I don't think that I'm going to read the room and probably move on from this comment.
Okay.
This was another comment. And again, these come from the show I was on the other night. And they can't give them the videos they are at. Okay. And why they can't give them the videos they are asking for. Anna's doing a great job. Just kind of giving us.
We don't know that, you know, that's the thing. I mean, should they? Yeah, they should give her everything she's asking for. She has a complete right to it. But are they not giving them to her, or are they? And you know, there was another thing is that we really don't know what they've provided. And back in the beginning, there was also like the prosecution had to get it from the FBI and from law enforcement and everything else. And so if they don't have it to turn over, then that's the reason too why sometimes they haven't given everything in a timely fashion. Do you remember that, Kiki? Do you remember that they were saying that they didn't have what she was asking for yet from FBI and Moscow Police Department and
that was kind of the debate I was not debate. That was kind of what the impression that I thought that Daniel explained to me the other night is that they were just saying they didn't know where to find it. But there's other things that have been brought up in this live stream that I didn't realize the other night, such as they only have 4 to 6 months of the cell phone. And that's a little bit different than saying you don't have a timestamp on a video. And so
right.
I definitely want to know more. I also, what is, you know, I know when we originally had, they started putting deadlines on some of the discovery, Ann Taylor was talking about how they still needed to hand over like 5 to 10% of the evidence, or the I believe she said metadata. I'm wondering if they still haven't turned that over, and that's what they're debating now. And I guess the other question would be like, where are we at with the alibi as well? Because I thought that there was a request from the state for more to do with the alibi and location. And so I'm wondering if this is some sort of waiting game between the two of them. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there in the ether. The videos Ann Taylor received had audio that didn't belong and it was chopped up. Yeah, they said that it was unmatched. Somebody said it was a delay.
Like dubbed, almost like a dubbing.
Mm-hmm. Like, you know how body cams have like a 30-second delay for like, I think it's to probably help with prevent, I don't know, but I heard there was some sort of delay that they needed. The audio wasn't matched to the actual video.
Mm.
The expert used words.
I think she's saying
comments. Yeah.
That expert used the words, what I've seen is exculpatory. It is not in support of guilt to the accused. I think she's probably using her voice to text.
Yeah, that's my problem. It would be interesting to know the details of how much video audio is missing. And if exactly, like, just clear this up for us. Are you saying you don't know where it is in the video, or you just don't know where it is and it's gone? This is a really great comment. Thank you, Robert. There are 14 levels of appeal before actual death takes place. I think that kind of fully answers the question.
I don't know about that.
All right. So
Really, it's not. There's not 14 level of appeal. Because you go from the trial court to the appellate court to the Supreme Court in the state. There's 3 levels.
As it is being presented, her expert is saying it's exculpatory to Bryan. So show your work if you have a paper trail, because this cast report is wrong. And the cast report got the search warrant. And I have a couple things on this particular comment. Let me see if I can get to the one. Okay, so this is one a conversation I was having with Mikey in the private chat that I think will go good with what Nietzsche is saying. So he said, I feel like we're being desensitized to these things because it's become a normal or acceptable. Since when has anything like this even happened? Sai said exculpatory himself on the stand, not just Anne on the record. The first time we heard that, other than Anne or Batanti, so Richard Batanti also works for the defense, what he has in hand is physical evidence and is exculpatory in his words. Nobody blinked, desensitized, with zero argument from cross. And then I was just going back over with him how many times we heard exculpatory. And so now it is Batanti said this word, and Taylor said this word, and Sai said this word himself. So I was reiterating back to him, I understood what he meant. And I just thought that was an interesting comment to bring up for this. And then,
Well, that isn't, okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying exculpatory evidence is favorable to the defendant.
Absolutely.
So it's like when she's saying, her expert is saying it's exculpatory to Bryan. Yeah, because that's exculpatory is evidence that's supportive of the defendant.
Okay. And again, these are just comments I got every comment I could find regarding the hearing so that we could just hash it all out. So this says, remember also the defense added late November 12th to their alibi statement. The only reason to add this date would be to get ahead of the evidence coming from the state that puts BK in his car and likely near the residence while the victims were out. On November 20th, 2022, presser Ellie asked for information regarding suspicious behavior while the victims were away from the home in the late hours of November 12th. This reinforces how very little we know regarding the state's case. Another aspect we know little about, except for hearings tidbits, is related to the federal grand jury related to this case. Although there does appear to be a federal investigation with warrants and subpoenas. I just thought that was just an interesting comment. I don't know if you have any reaction to it.
No, I mean, I agree. We know very little about the state's case, so.
Oh, wait, hold on. Heather just texted me. Let me see what she says.
Federal grand juries.
Can you pull?
I want your sister to hear this.
Oh, Heather, I would, but I have to follow I know other people don't, but I follow what the original instructions were on the live stream, which was not to cut it up or edit it or do anything to it. So Gia and I wanted to actually play. We were thinking about just doing a review of the hearing, but we can't play.
You don't want to compromise your channel, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that one particular stream, I know a lot of people are doing it, but I can't
I'll hear it. I'll do it after the show.
You know, okay. But what we can do and what
2 hours.
Yeah. And what I was kind of thinking is like, we were kind of thinking of figuring out what people have the most questions about, and just like this, making it into a thumbnail and displaying it, and then bringing it back and discussing it with you. Hold on. Can you pull up here? Sorry, Heather. I wanted the timestamp so I could listen to it afterward.
I'm going to listen.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm trying to put it on silent. What the heck? Okay.
She's listening to it now.
I'm trying. Go ahead. Continue on.
I'm just going to mute you, okay? Okay, so we're getting Gia on the case. I don't know. I mean, that was the original instructions that he didn't want any zooming, editing, at all. And so the only thing I've ever felt that was appropriate for me to do was to pause it and review it. But as far as editing it or playing it in segments, we were instructed not to do that. And so I would love to, but I can't until I see new instructions from the judge saying I can edit it. I just don't want to be one of the people that does it because I love my channel too much.
Okay. I'm gonna have to listen to it after. Because I want to watch the rest of the hearing too. So
she put, yeah, and it's the timestamp for others watching, so they know.
Heather.
Yeah, and so others know what we're talking about and what Heather's referencing. It's 2 hours and 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the hearing.
Okay, and what is it about?
Showing you. So you hold on. Let me read you. I believe this is she's sending the clip of Cy Ray saying that it's exculpatory evidence.
Okay. I
know they have, Heather, but they also have a lot more money for their lawyer than I do. So I'm just saying.
No, and that was painful what happened with your channel, and we just don't want that to happen again. You went through a lot to get back on the air, so
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And but I will bring up, I will find a way to present it, even if it means me typing it out and putting it on a thumbnail. Like, I don't even want to zoom in on those pictures to take a picture for my thumbnails. One question to Payne from Ann Taylor. Did it appear, or do you know if the crime scene had been cleaned up in any way? Do you recall his response? And then Nietzsche says, a second search warrant to AT&T was done on the same day that search warrant 1 was. This is a really, really good comment. Side said for him to do the report, Payne would take him at least 4 hours, and he has 29 years experience or less, and Payne did it. Okay, so this was a big controversy in the hearing. So he did say he wouldn't, it would take him 4 hours to do it. He doesn't understand how they could have had that information in time to do the full cast report. But he didn't say it was impossible, I think was the kind of counter argument people were giving. I'm sorry that is right in front of your face there.
Oh, I don't care.
Put it up. But I just don't know enough about the cast. I don't know. But I think that was one of the biggest arguments I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
He said, as of today, with the evidence he's been given, it's exculpatory.
Yeah, because Heather sent us a text with the transcript. So he said at 2:02:54, everything that I've seen today is concerning to me because it's exculpatory, and I want or need to clarify this when all of the records are produced and the dust settles and I've had time to review it. I reserve the right to say no now. Okay. Yeah, he's concerned.
And thank you, Juniper. I was wondering if that's what you meant. And I think that would have been an amazing question for him. That was the question. And we'll go back to it just so everyone see. One question to Payne from Ann Taylor. Did it appear to?
Do you know if the crime scene had been cleaned in any way?
And that's what he's saying. That is what I'm saying. They should have asked him.
Oh, okay. Huh.
The judge has said that in more than one hearing. How many times have you heard that word in pretrial hearing testimony?
What, exculpatory?
Yeah, I'm sure.
A lot, right?
We've heard it 3 times in this trial. Let's see. So I have some these have to do with exculpatory, the next 3 comments. So I think that these are good ones to read out loud that the live chat will probably appreciate. So this one, Cy Ray wouldn't testify on BK's behalf if he wasn't comfortable. He's putting his reputation on the line. He also said that everything I've seen so far is concerning because it's exculpatory to Mr. Kohberger at this point, Cy Ray. And so that is the exact quote that we were trying to pull up. And if I remember, somebody asked the same question to on the DTS show, and he said that he at the end of that, he said he reserves his right to change his opinion. But right. I could be mistaken too. And then Sai, oh, sorry, what she had?
No, nothing.
Sai said flat out, he will never agree to be an expert in a case without being able to see the case information ahead of time before he agrees.
Of course.
He's never provided testimony for a defense, not once in 100 times he's been an expert. And just so you know, that was one of the questions they asked him, how many cases he's been a witness in. And he said about 100. Go back over here. What do you see? Something in the chat?
No, I'm just reading it. Heather said Cyray created the largest cell tower location database on the planet.
And hi, Red Riding Hood. Thanks for crossing over into channels. We really appreciate it. I went over and watched Nick Ballan's testimony for Chad Daybell. It was interesting regarding his training. I think it was eye-opening. Nick Balance is the FBI agent that helped with the cast report to Payne, and is what he based a lot of his PCA off of. I think that that's a great statement just on the... I
don't know what you're reading.
So I have it displayed on screen from Red Riding Hood. So Nick Balance is the FBI agent that they was emailing back and forth, and he was actually present in the office the day that Payne was putting together that PCA, or during the time period that he was putting together that PCA. And it would just be interesting to know more about him because he just recently testified in the Daybell trial. But he's going to be a big part of this case. Some have even speculated he might be called to the stand.
Yeah.
And then Candy says, he reserves his right to change his opinion based on new evidence he gets down the road. Exactly. And I think you're saying it verbatim as well. That's exactly what I said. And then it says, Sai knows Nick. That was another thing that came up on the stand, which I think is really interesting too, because they were saying, where did you get this information? He goes, I'll have to go back and check with Nick. And then Sai brings up Nick on like a first name basis. So have they had a conversation? Is there something that he knows?
They probably work together.
Yeah. Does he know something from Nick that we don't? Oh, I agree with it.
Yeah. I think everyone agrees with that.
Yep.
Still a mystery. Still a mystery that I lose sleep over it.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna waver in how I feel about that. It's just outrageous to me.
What's this on your screen? What does this have to do with your original post? As I'm sure you are aware, the discovery deadline has not passed. If the defense do not have everything that exists at that point, I'll have a huge issue with that. Now, not so much. Well, it had to have passed, or she couldn't do a motion to compel. Right? Can't do a motion to compel something that isn't due yet. So it had to have passed. Well, we can look that up.
This is actually a really relevant comment too, because we were just talking about Nick and maybe finding more about him since he's going to be part of this case. And Heather says, Sai trained Nick.
Okay.
What do you think that the final cast is, or why do you think the final cast is not handed over?
I don't know. Did they say it's final?
I know that there was something that Sai said on the stand that was repeated on DTS the other night, where they said, he said, this can be he said there were problems with it. And then there was this quote that I remember Daniel saying a few times, this can be fixed. And I'm just wondering, maybe that means that they're going to re-look at it. I don't know. Are they allowed to redo the cast report? Are they allowed to change something? If something's incorrect.
If they have new information or better information, of course, they could amend it.
All right. Let's see what I have here. Oops. Let me go back. Okay, hold on. Let me stop sharing my screen because I don't know what just happened. I don't want to dox myself online. Not that I haven't been doxed enough already, but you know. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, and then there were a couple I skipped over, but I think we'll circle back to them now. Hold on, did we already go?
Yep.
Yeah, we did the deadlines already. Okay.
We did that too.
Okay. Oh, this was about the traffic lights. And I do think this is a little bit relevant. I wanted to bring up. So we were talking about traffic lights and what are some, just debating it back and forth. And one thing that one of my mods brought up, Mikey, is that you can't see the faces or the license plates on these traffic cams. And that was proven to me by some photographs, still photographs that were taken from Forensic Frenzy's channel. And Mikey was the one who recommended that to me. So if you want to go check out her channel, she has kind of cased out the whole area and taken, she's put a video together showing where the traffic cams were. But what's interesting is the placement of the camera, because when you have a camera that records license plate or face, it has to be at a very specific height. And you can see that these cameras are way above that height. They're not the typical ticket issuing cameras. So I thought that was interesting. And then this second point, which we've discussed a lot since the hearing, is if anything's going to blow up their identification, if he was right, is the 11 to 13. We're talking about the years of the car. And it says blown up. If it was 14 to 17 and they find another white 11 to 13, it's going to be credited. So he doesn't even speak on the dates. If they adjust their route from the PCA, they will have no doubt adjusted the description after the fact. And they can build around the alibi after the warrant was given by different statements. It's not something that can be washed over. It's illegal to lie on a PCA deliberately. And again, it's kind of back to what if he gets new information, if that's how they're categorizing it. Are they redoing it, or is Cy going to fix it? I don't know.
Well, someone says you can't redo because the house coming down, and that was explained, I guess, in the hearing. The comment before Nietzsche said the drive test can't be redone.
We'll leave that comment up like for the next one. This one I really want to, this is so off subject, but again, I don't think that we want to get off subject here. Let's stick with the hearing. I have a map, though. I'll show you in another screen. So this was one that somebody commented to Daniel. December 20th is when Payne and the officer from WSU finally spoke. It doesn't mean that when BK was finally put on the radar. Ann Taylor even said, if we go in backwards to the time the officer located the Elantra, Payne just didn't speak with one officer until the IGG came back as to who the DNA on the sheet belonged to. I would put money on it that the police were able to make out BK's PA plate. It's very recognizable with a dark blue inched border at the top and a plate, and it's dark yellow inched border at the bottom of the plate. I believe WSU did their homework to find out that BK's car had a PA plate on it less than 2 weeks prior, or when they located it. I'm sure BK was informed them he changed his. I'm sure BK informed them he changed his plate. WSU knew it was BK's car back on November 29th. They just couldn't do nothing about it until they had the results back from whose DNA was on the sheet, and it doesn't match the owner of the car at WSU. I mean, I think that's back to the argument, the whole Frank's hearing argument is they're trying to show that it was the IGG that led to him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many comments. So if you see something you want me to highlight, hold on. Let's go to Heather. Where was the last one? We already read that one. Okay. Given the hour and the day and the distance phone call connected to EV flow. You guys are giving such wonderful comments, by the way. I just want to let you know. It's going to be a huge problem that the house is gone. Here we go. MPD played a game of basketball. At the end of the game, it was 62 to 66. It was a really close game. The only thing is they just wrote a score down because they didn't have a basketball game as the cast. That's a really, really good comment. Good job. Like, I understand what you mean by that. What's this? Like you, like, are you on update 33 or 200?
I don't know who she's talking to. Oh, I think of the software maybe. I think that's like a side conversation with someone.
Oh, sorry about that, you guys. All right. And I think maybe that one. Oh, I think we went through all of these. I don't know. What do you think, Gia? I mean, obviously, I kind of forewarned you. There is, even watching the trial and analyzing it and hearing like all these different people with their breakdowns, it's so incredible how everybody has a different opinion on this.
Oh, okay. I just have to respond. Yes, Heather, we know. Kiki watched the whole thing. I did not. Again, I'm going to after. She keeps saying you really need to watch. You really need to watch. And I'm not speaking on anything that I'm just
no,
asking.
I think she's just saying you're going to lose your mind when you watch.
No, she's saying it's imperative to watch before you speak on it. I know that. I'm not really speaking on it. I'm not speaking on it specifically. I'm asking questions about it because I know I didn't see it.
Well,
but I'll go do it later today. But right now, I kind of have to get back to work.
But thank you for taking the time to do a live stream with me. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I appreciate getting your initial opinion. We all have to have, an initial opinion or initial exposure to it somewhere. And it's really hard if you just take the clips from the mainstream media, which is generally what most of the public has to say, and.
Can you take that comment down?
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I think the Frank's hearing is going to be set up as prosecutorial misconduct. But, all right, so we're going to let you get back to your work, Kiki, and I would love to have you on later this week if you're available. Okay. And other than that, I'm just so happy to have you back, and I'm so happy to get you back on the case. And I hope you come. I know.
Back. I wish I didn't have to work. Wish I was a housewife.
All right. So with that, thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Candy. Okay.